I bought a mystery race car at auction, and I may have been swindled.
I should have looked at it more. What I think happened is...
Not a good sign.
Not a good sign whatsoever.
I purchased this 1972 Plymouth Duster locally at an auction, and let me tell you, I was really excited to see this thing. When I scrolled through the pictures online, I got to looking at it, and I thought, you know what, that's a pretty good looking car. Didn't really think anything of it, but being me as a Mopar guy, I just had to take a second look. I zoomed in on some pictures and noticed it says 6-pack on the hood. Scrolled on down to a few other pictures and noticed a big block 6-pack setup. I'm immediately interested, so of course I had to go take a look at it at the preview day. So we go down here to the auction place and we check out all the cars there. There's a few I kind of weighed in. I was like, I kind of want to do this one, kind of want to do this one, but I settled on the Duster. Any kind of Duster or a Dart with a big block in it has to be a load of fun. Now, why is it at auction? I don't know, but why is any car at auction? So they actually fired the car up for me, and it has exhaust cutouts on it. It was very loud, and I just thought, well, you know what? It seems pretty good. It was having a hard time idling. The battery was dead on it, but he kept it running long enough for me to hear that it did run. And he put it in gear, seemed like it was moving forward just fine. So I thought nothing of it. At that point, I said, you know what? It's a good looking car. I may bid on it. I get home and I check everything out, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and do it. I bid one time, and then I bought it. You know how you was hoping to kind of get into a bidding war, maybe somebody would talk you out of it, and you're thinking, well, I may have messed up here. That was kind of where I was at. But I got through it, I won the car, and I got it for a measly $7,500. And I thought, wow, I have just stolen this car, except I might not have. So we go over to the auction place, and I'm excited because Briar gets to see this car, and it was a total surprise for him. He did not anticipate anything. I didn't tell him what was going on. I just said, hey, we're gonna go pick up a car. You're gonna like it. We get there, and this is what happens.
Surprise.
Big surprise.
You like it?
I do like it.
Quite literally, big surprise. Big surprise. I got this thing at auction, but it had a dead battery, so we're gonna see if it'll crank up. This thing is ridiculously loud. It's like firing up an airplane. And the interior's nice, look at this.
It is nice.
So you gotta flip this, pull this out.
That's so funny.
Just that one.
Oh yeah, it sounds good.
I think they not charging. It's a big block 6-pack car. I don't know if it's a low deck or what, but they've loaded it up. You crank it, fill the battery, crank it, fill the battery. Let's see if this thing will actually do something. 65,000 oil pressure.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Maybe 4 months.
Whoa! Smokes a little.
You burning oil or is it?
Yeah, it's oil.
Great. I bought a junker.
Dang it.
Oh.
Oops.
Which one's a fuel pump? That's the one I'm wanting to kill. That one.
It moves. Oh, wait a minute, wait. No, my Tecton.
Well, I think we got swindled. I should have looked at it more. What I think happened is the fuel pump got stuck on, and I don't see a regulator anywhere in line. It's got a mechanical pump, but then it's got an electric pump, so I don't really understand. When we pulled the dipstick tube, it smells like straight gas, and it's thin. It's so diluted. Hopefully, we can get by with changing the oil and figuring out the fuel system. People kept coming out here to this auction. They leave the pump on, crank it, shut it off, because it was flooded bad. I mean, when I was trying to get it to run, it seems like it was a better car than that. I mean, I think they just kept coming out here cold starting it, running the pump too long, just hurting. And now look at me. I'm neck deep in a Duster that may or may not have a completely shot engine. So we're gonna winch it onto the trailer so we don't hurt anything, but we gotta get it home and at least assess what the problem is. I mean, somebody spent a ton of money on this thing, and I was hoping that by the looks of it that it would be a good car, but man, I think I've been messed up here. Well, it's on there, but kind of worried about it. Now I'm sick to my stomach because I'm thinking I got in a bind here. What are we gonna do, Briar?
It'll work out. I have faith.
You think so? I mean, it looks good. I mean, if you look underneath everything, we've got some drag radials. I mean, somebody spent a ton of money on it. The front end completely rebuilt. We've got tubular uppers, drag shocks, all rebuilt, ball joints, lowers, uppers, all that good stuff. Strut rod bushings, oil cooler, giant radiator. I mean, somebody really tried. I don't know. I'm really kind of wondering what's going on here. So anyway, we just got to get it home.
It's a beautiful looking car.
Are we in trouble though?
Not yet. I'm not worried.
Not yet.
Yet.
I mean, it does look good.
I've seen worse, but I've seen better.
Explain what happened whenever you said I was throttling it.
So at idle, it would blow blue, and I told him it was smoking. And then when he would give a little gas to keep it running, it turned black. So I didn't know what to tell him. Like, is it? So we were pulling it. He was pulling it to the trailer, and he got on it a little bit, got some speed going, and it turned from blue to black like that.
So the blue goes away.
Yes, it does.
That's really strange because most of the time, you know, if you're going to be burning oil like that, it's going to be burning it all the time. So I'm kind of wondering. Again, we pulled the dipstick tube. We'll show you when we get home. I pulled the dipstick out, and it
like dries immediately. You do that, and it's gone.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So the fuel pump is on a switch, and there could be one at the rear, but I did not see a fuel pressure regulator anywhere. And it still has a mechanical pump, which is strange to me. So if that's the case, it very well could be overpowering the needle and seat on all three carburetors and just filling the engine with gas. Because when we cranked it, I mean, it was hard to crank, wasn't it?
Yes, it would start for nothing.
And I had to sit there and hold it at a steady RPM to get the plugs to come back in, and it still just would not run right. And as soon as I let off, I was like, it should run at this point. It just died. It's like it was loading up. So I cut the fuel pump back off, and it seemed to kind of clear out, but then it obviously ran out of gas. I don't know, man. We just had to get this thing off the trailer and get it in the shop just to assess everything. But before we do anything, we are not cranking this thing anymore until we verify that we don't have just straight gas. Because, I mean, pulling the dipstick tube off, or the dipstick out, it was just, I mean, you touched it and it was sticky.
Yeah, when you said, oh my gosh, my heart dropped, I was like, oh no.
Well, it seriously seemed like, if you ever think about oil, if you ever worked on a car and you dissolve it with gas, I mean, gas will run it out. That's what it felt like. I don't know if you noticed, but my feelings are a little bit hurt at this point. I was struggling to keep a smile on my face because inside I thought, man, I have just gotten myself upside down. Should I have known it at the time and maybe paid a little bit more attention? Absolutely. But here we are. We have a big block Duster on our hands and we've got to figure out something with it. So we're going to get it off the trailer here and we're going to try our best to understand what happened to this car. Is it salvageable? Can we fix anything along those lines? I don't know yet, but we're just going to have to diagnose it and see what we have.
And I bet you there's going to be some more goodies in here than you realize.
Brian made a good point.
It looks just like Baja
Whoop!
Baja Blast.
There it is.
So new name, Baja.
The Baja Duster. That is a beautiful color. It's a Mopar thing, guys. You wouldn't understand.
Do not scratch my paint.
I will try my hardest.
This is the nicest car I own. Maybe.
Come on, door handle.
Does it not want to open? Did you lock it?
No, I didn't lock it. It was this hard to open it earlier too. I had to beat on it a little bit. Oh, had to go up with it.
Yeah, it's
Nice to know.
A little worn out. You have that on these race cars, you know. Oh, Dixie's got her toy.
Her and her squeaky toys are something else.
It's pretty funny.
It's about like her and her sticks.
Yeah. I think she likes the stick more than she likes the
I
squeaky.
think she does too. Don't you like your sticks? You like your sticks?
She's part woodchuck, part beaver. I bet the camera's like, because they can't see you, they're like, why is there like a heavy breathing?
It's not me, I promise. Yeah, that's neutral. Oh, it's going now.
Yeah. No! Hit the brakes on us. Just watch your bumper. Yeah, make sure it don't hit.
Perfect.
You are off the ramps. I'll hold it for you. Put it back in park.
She's in park.
Whew. That
Car
wasn't too bad. Could have been worse. It usually is worse, honestly.
Normally cars don't roll.
We got the car inside. I noticed that the wheel lip in here had rivets inside of it. Come here, see if you can see that. It's either had quarters put on it or somebody has put bigger wheel tubs in it. I bought the car, never even opened the trunk. Oh, the heater box.
Cool.
All the, carburetor parts.
Oh, sweet.
That's explaining some stuff. So here's the diaphragms for the secondaries, for the outboards. Base plate. That's something for a big block, for like the heat shield or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, we got to use that. Carburetor inlet plugs.
Oh.
Jets. Oh, these are throttle blades. 6-pack fuel bowls?
That's what it said on the box.
Oh! So you probably put new ones on it. These are the originals. Oh, look, there's new floats.
Dude.
New screws. Plugs for the sight floats. Fuel bowl. I wonder why he put new... Hey, you know what? These are like natural, and he put polished on it. It's what it is. Mallory. A new distributor cap. We got a Mallory ignition box for like the little pickup. That's brand new. It ain't even been opened yet. Oh, look at there, a rotor button. So there must have been something wrong with this thing for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's for the transmission. That's the speedometer gear. Interesting. The kick panels were gone, but there they are in the flesh. I was wondering what to do about that. I guess this was an AC car because it's got this is an AC vent and AC box, and they just took it out because race car, you know. Trunk floor looks a bit oddly shaped.
Yes, it does.
Oh, it's because.
Oh, it's cardboard.
Yeah. Oh, it's wet. So it's been. She's been leaking the gasket. Is there a spare in here? Yep. Oh yeah. It's flat. Probably the original spare and a jack. So
wow.
There's stuff in there. Well, we've got a lot of parts. It's telling a story. Is what I'm getting here. I don't know, right? I don't know what to do with make of it. But we do have a good smelling gas tank as far as like no varnish inside of it. But I was looking and I saw hoses. There's some kind of, what the heck is that? It's just some random hose.
Oh yeah, that black stuff. I saw it when I was tying it down.
I don't know what that is. It's just sitting there. So I guess the electric pump pulls from factory sitting unit location. So, but the trunk floor is very solid. No problems there. Frame rails look good. Are the wheel tubs extended? I don't think so. It has undercoating on it, so somebody's been in here spraying stuff. Somebody's put quarters on it, I think, because there's a gap right there between the wheel tub and the quarter. Yeah. Not on that side though, but there is on that side. It's not rusty.
Yes.
You know, it's not like full of Bondo, at least in that spot. I mean, there's a couple spots that you can see Bondo cracking, like somewhere in here, like right there, a little bit of Bondo. This paint job is older. Our biggest issue lies under here. Where all the 6-pack goodness is, this thing is not good.
You know what? You got 2 hands. I'll let you handle it.
Don't you worry, Brian. I got you. I will take care of it. I forgot.
Oh, it's got a
inside hood release.
That's fancy, right
because race car.
Perfect.
And that's not very good because the hood is so misaligned. That's an expensive air cleaner that's been taped together for some reason.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Honestly, don't think I ever have either. Now that think about it, I really have not seen a 6-pack Mopar Performance air cleaner before. Gosh, that cost a lot of money. Everything about this car cost a lot of money, just in weird stuff.
Wow.
Look at there. Yeah, this thing's taped together for some reason. Oh, no! Washers, no! Wow, but that's a legit 6-pack air cleaner there.
Gold engine. What do you think?
Why not, dude? Edelbrock Performer RPM aluminum heads. The engine was put together and then painted again, so they might have touched it up in some places because there's overspray on the cylinder head. What I would like to do is let's pull a valve cover, see what kind of valve train we're working with. There is no kick down, so that could mean, since it has a ratchet shifter, some type of manual valve body, whether it be reverse or regular pattern. I don't know. Typically you see a reverse pattern, but we just need to figure out fuel system and ignition. Like what's going on? Where's timing? Are these floats set right? I mean, based on the fact that I have not seen a fuel pressure regulator yet, it's kind of concerning.
And we're doubling down on fuel.
Because well, there's an electric pump and then the mechanical pump is still in line.
It's hooked up.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
Maybe it's that thirsty. I don't know.
3 carburetors is a lot, but not that much. I see a high volume oil pump, Milodon, right there. Check that out. So it's got good oil pressure. It had about 65 cold, but straight gas, obviously. So see how it's well beyond the full mark? That's a lot of gas. A lot of gas, Briar.
It's almost like water.
It's look at that. Look at it's on my hand there. It's just, and it immediately just,
Goes
hear
away.
that? Listen. Oil doesn't do that.
No.
And oil doesn't smell like gas. But the fact that it's that full, that's a lot of gas.
Yeah, not a good sign.
Not a good sign whatsoever. So I was like, once we heard it run, and he told me, the guy that ran the auction, he did not start it up, but one time beyond what I saw it run. There's a good chance that it came there like that, and nobody realized it. But I don't think it's hurt yet. If we kept going, it could have gotten hurt. So we're just going to take our time. We're not going to get in a hurry. We're going to be careful. And then we got all these crazy hoses and contraptions. Somebody, again, spent way too much money on this car. Way too much. I mean, this whole top end setup with aluminum heads, aluminum intake, 6-pack carburetor, you're looking at like $5,000, 6 maybe. Well, I was looking at it, and since the tall deck's supposed to have an identification pad right here, we know that this is some kind of low deck. So think 383, 400, something along those lines, which is not a bad thing. They fit better in these cars, and low decks can really produce some power, but there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It could be a stroker low deck. I mean, that's a pretty popular, the 400s, a lot of people like to stroke them out to a 451. I wonder if these are like big block A-body manifolds, because if they are, those ain't cheap.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's glued, ain't it? Oh, brother. Now, whose idea was that?
Wow, that's stuck.
That thing's squeaky. Oh, is the fender support brace not there? Yeah, the fender's moving.
Mallet?
You know what I was thinking is that maybe the electric pump was meant to be like some kind of like priming thing to fill the carburetors and then start, and then you shut it off and run on the mechanical pump, because that would explain why there's no regulator. There is a pump in line, and maybe they were just running it with the pump all the time instead of just letting the mechanical pump do its thing.
I don't know. We'll have to try that one.
Yeah. Man, they glued them on.
There you go.
Valve covers do not need that much.
Yeah. Did you miss one?
No. I can feel the silicone.
Oh, that works.
That did it.
Put the torque to it. Oh, yeah, I told you. I told you. You gotta go.
Whoa!
Wow. You took half the gasket with you.
Oh no!
It's gone.
They glued it on there with RTV.
That's some heavy duty stuff there.
Roller rockers. I just wonder, does it have like a roller cam in it, you think?
I wouldn't put it past it now, but I don't know if I want to find out.
When I ain't gonna do that, I might could stick the camera down in there. Those are 3/8 push rods too, I believe. Crazy valve train going on here. We could pull the distributor and then look down in there. We might do that. Wonder what brand they are.
You might can run that partner.
Oh, they're 1.6 too. So the factory are 1.5 ratio, and these are 1.6.
Is it leaking gas or is it oil that I'm seeing in the intake?
I would bet money it's gas because it's probably pushing it out the vent tube or something. So if you're not familiar with six-pack carburetors, I guess we can kind of do a little explanation. I've done this in the past on another six-pack car I had that ran very well, but this is kind of the similar setup pretty much. Think of a regular carburetor. This is your primary circuit. These are just secondaries. All it is a carburetor cut in half, spun around, and then placed right here, and then two secondaries. They're vacuum operated on both ends. You really tune it the exact same way that you would a regular 4-barrel carburetor, and you just get extra CFM on the secondaries. I think it's $350 on the primary and $500 each on the secondaries. I could be wrong.
Gosh.
I don't remember exactly, but I think that's what it is. So it's like $1,350 total. And man, when those secondaries come on, you can tell. That six-pack car I had with a 440 in it, it would fly. You get that secondaries hit in, it's like, whoop, there it goes. These things are fun if they're right. But I'm still leaning towards my idea about being just a priming tool for the electric pump and then it running on a mechanical. And I'm afraid they might have washed out the engine a little bit because this thing is way too nice in here to be running like it does. So let's get that distributor out. Let me get a wrench for it. I just want to see, do we have a roller cam? Is there something in there like really cool? I don't know. This is like some vintage ignition stuff here with the Mallory coil on the side.
I've never even heard of that.
And the Mallory distributor. Pretty neat stuff here.
I was getting ready, it was stuck. It's a roller?
It's a roller cam.
Oh my gosh. The scores just keep running up.
If
If it runs anymore.
If it still runs. So that's a roller cam. No idea what the specs are. Couldn't tell you anything. So we have a full roller top end in a big block with aluminum heads, aluminum six-pack. Somebody spent a lot of money on this engine. And it wasn't me.
Yes.
Yeah, I can finally have something. But the bottom end might be the problem. Let's pull a spark plug out. Ow. My phalanges. I didn't need that one anyway.
No. Is your finger still broke?
It does still hurt. If I bend it, I can't bend it all the way, and I can't pop it, you know.
Oh, man.
But it doesn't bend like the rest of them do.
Oops.
Ooh, yeah.
Soaking wet?
Wet.
Soaking wet.
Straight up gas. Nasty, nasty, nasty gas.
Well, we were right.
Yes, we were very right. Yeah. I bet every time they come out here and cranked it, they just left the switch on, cranked it. It's like, oh, why does it run like Dukas? Well, it's because there's so much fuel just dumping in the oil. Let's get the camera out, see if we can see what kind of pistons we got. Oh, there it is.
Right there, the one with the threads.
I'm having a hard time driving here.
I think you had too much to drink.
Baja Blast is giving me. Oof. Does the cylinder on the wall look kind of toasty to you? These look like aftermarket pistons of sorts, but I can't see a part number. It's some kind of aftermarket piston, but it's been running nice and rich. That cylinder wall is dry. What looks like an aftermarket, 30, wait, that's an 830? Or did it just say 30 over? That might be just a 30 over piston, but it's got some kind of valve relief in it, so that tells me that there's some kind of, it looks like a higher compression piston, because usually if it's a low compression later model block, it would be flat tops. So we've got valve reliefs of sorts. Whoever put it together obviously knew something, right? So what I'm noticing here is the Hemi and six-pack style fuel filter. It's a bypass filter. I'll show a diagram of it here. I can find you a picture of it. So what it does is it's meant for these cars. They have 3/8 supply and a 1/4 inch return. So you have a supply line coming up. It'll self-regulate basically and have a pressure bleed off and a 1/4 inch and go back to the tank. So that's a factory style setup. So there is some kind of regulation for fuel pressure, but it's on the mechanical pump. It's in line just like everything else, but I think that it's only meant to prime the carburetors personally. Man, there's some crazy stuff. That's that filter I was talking about. I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically a bypass filter. That's the main line in, and then all the pressure that comes back out of it will go right back into a 1/4 inch line. But see, we've got a mechanical pump. We have an aftermarket balancer. There's that Mylodon oil pump. We have a 383. I was able to check the part number, and it is a 383. We have tubular upper control arms, Lakewood shocks, Kelsey hazed disc brakes, new lower ball joints, obviously upper ball joints. There's our fuel line going to the rear. A deep pan with a drain. Torque converter, aftermarket, of course. We've got, looks like, is that some kind of Power Master mini starter? I don't know, it's red, that's kind of interesting. There was an O2 sensor added in, but it's not plugged in anymore, so I might add one of those. Cutouts in the back, might not be visible, but we have subframe connectors. We have 2 stacked transmission coolers, so it goes into one, jumps over to the other one, and goes right back into the transmission line. That's wild. Like they want to make sure this thing stayed cool. And then we have a limiter strap for the big block. So this thing ain't going nowhere. I'm hoping we can save this engine. Dad's here. I wanted to see what he thought because he went and looked at it with me, and we were kind of wondering what's going on. And he's gonna love it. See what you think?
Yeah. Wow, that thing got like nowhere on it, does it?
So we've got aluminum heads, full roller rockers, 1.6 ratio, 3/8 push rods, a roller cam. But when we went to go crank this thing up, it looked like it was a mosquito repellent. It was bad. They go over there and they crank it up with the electric pump and leave it running.
Well, fortunately, it probably didn't run long, did it?
It's got all new uppers, tubular, lower ball joints, upper ball joints, strut rod bushings, new shocks front and rear, exhaust cutouts, everything. It's an 8 3/4 and it's locked or a sure grip of sorts.
Wow. So when you hit the skinny pedal, it ought to go.
It should. And the thing has got some travel to it. I mean, it will lift up like crazy.
Okay. Wow.
But that's if the engine is going to, because it was bad. I mean, it looked like I had started a fire. It would burn oil because the oil was so thin. And Breyer said whenever I tapped the gas to get it moving, it would shoot up black smoke.
What kind of oil pressure did it show?
It was showing 65. I thought you'd be excited to see that.
Oh, I am.
We was wondering.
You want to sell it?
Let me see if I can have fun with it first, then I'll let you know.
You might blow it up.
I might.
No, yeah, I'd come near doing that, and you would.
But I barely was able to drive it out of the lot. It was so bad.
Somebody spent a lot of money.
Yes, they did. It wasn't me.
Fuel gauge.
Fuel gauge.
Mopar performance fuel gauge.
Is it hooked up? It's mounted in there, and it's wired.
I'm going.
Well, I guess we're going to see if Earl's home. Wait a minute. I'm knocking first.
Yes.
Brian
Don't
does-
intrude ever on a roll. I learned the hard way.
He does not knock.
I'm scared. Are you scared?
I don't. That's why I'm silent. I just don't know what to think right now. I'm just worried that it's going to be bad. Like this thing probably, if you had like a match to it, it would ignite. Ooh, that's water. Look how thin that is.
Oh my gosh.
That's so thin. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That is very thin. Smell that. That if smell-o-vision worked, that is 100% straight
Look
gas.
how fast it's dripping.
That is straight gas. Wow.
So we need to figure out which switch is the fuel pump and turn it off.
Yes, never, ever again. Look how thin that is. You can't even, there's no oil on my fingers.
No, it doesn't.
It's gas.
They don't look dirty.
There's no, look, I'm going to touch that. There's nothing there.
Not a single bit of black.
It's a wonder it didn't spin a bearing or something. Wow.
I bet if we would have run it any further,
Oh, yeah,
we would have done some damage.
absolutely. I'm still nervous, though, because what if it doesn't? What do we do? Oh, my gosh. We'll probably change it, let it run a little bit. If it comes back to life, then we'll change it again. At least there was some oil in there, but,
Yes.
It could have been a lot worse. Wow, that's strong. Whew, I'm going to let that just drain. We're going to get as much out of there as we possibly can. Look, this thing is full to the brim.
I'm glad I emptied it.
Dang. Yeah, that would have been bad. You just do your thing. We'll be back in a little bit. So that's where I touch the oil. There's no oil, Brian.
It's clean.
There's zero oil on my fingers. That's not supposed to happen. It's gas. It's literally straight gas.
That's not good.
In a pinch, your car can run on gas.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
I was getting ready to put the valve cover back on, and I noticed this. So this little piece right here was just sitting right here next to the valve spring. I'm thinking it's like a cup to the push rod or something because this is how tight the other rockers are. This one, look at all that play. So I'm going to pull this push rod out and see if I can't figure out if that cup is supposed to be in there or not. Okay, let's get that loosened up. I'll just take this all the way out. I don't know if I can get that out of there. Just trying to see the end of the push rod.
I think it's supposed to go on the top of the valve. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I think it's a cap for the valve. That's what it is. I was looking at the wrong side of it and I dropped it. Ah, there you are. Come over here. Oh. That goes on the edge of the valve. All the other ones have that, but this one doesn't. So I'll slide that back up under there. That valve was misadjusted, but now it makes me wonder, yeah, are any of the other ones going to be like that on the other side? I don't want to do it, but I feel like it would be a good idea to check and make sure none of the other ones have fallen out. I hope this valve cover gives me a little less trouble. It would be very nice if you would. Oh yeah, that was better. Bet it's all glued really badly. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There we go. Woo! Okay, the gasket survived on this one, so we're gonna put it back. Yeah, look at that. That one's pretty loose too. Those are good. Those are all good. The good thing is that if it does fall out, it would be hard pressed for it to go anywhere. Oh, yeah, look at there. It's in there. This is number 1. Number 2 are the exact same way. There's that little piece again. Well, we'll just do the same thing and stick that piece back up in there. So if anything, this thing is down 2 cylinders. Not a lot. I mean, obviously it's still got some movement in it, but it's not good. Y'all have to excuse me. I'm really not well versed in these aftermarket roller rockers. So this is kind of a new thing that I'm seeing here. I haven't really messed with them a lot, but I'm learning, trying to learn my best. I've messed with adjustable rockers, but just not this specific kind. I think too, before we do anything else, I would just like to go ahead and pull all the spark plugs. Like I said, I'm probably just gonna make it run with the valve covers off, just so we can verify that all these are like doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm gonna pull each spark plug individually because these things look awful. I mean, they are black as soot. When I pulled this one out, it was wet from gas. It's since evaporated, as you can tell, but this is not good. So I'm gonna take every single one of them, clean them up, and stick them back in because the rest of the spark plug looks good. It's just super fouled. Boys, I'll tell you what, that was rough. That number 6 spark plug, all up in the way of the manifold. But we got it. They're all clean, they all look terrible, but they're good. I'm actually gonna pull the distributor back out so that I can fill it up through there with the oil because the valve covers are gonna stay off, so I can just watch the rocker assembly just for a little bit to make sure everything's good. And I'm using cheap oil just because if this engine's bad, I won't have any money in it. And I think it has a stock pan, so we're just gonna do 5 quarts here real fast and check that level, but it could be a 6 quart pan, I'm not sure. It may be cheap oil, but it's definitely better than what was in it because, wow, I took the filter off and it was full of gas. Never in my life have I seen one that bad. Now, I did do this to an engine one time. Actually, my turbo police car had an injector hang wide open. Whoa. It actually hydrolocked the engine, so I guess that one was pretty close, but the oil still looked pretty good, had some gas in it, but not nearly as bad as this one. Well, great news. This thing is a 6 quart pan, and I thought that might be a possibility, so I did buy 6 quarts. So now I'm gonna take our distributor, and I made a note of exactly where it needed to land. Just a simple request, go right back where you came from. Right there. And I did not crank the engine at all. Oh, look, they even marked it. There's a little Sharpie mark on the distributor and the hold down, so I know exactly where it's supposed to go. Well, thanks whoever put this thing together. I'm gonna put our Optima back in its place. I've charged it up because the alternator, like I said, is not wired in, and it just about killed the battery. Even the battery cables are fancy. Like, dang, man, y'all went all in on this thing. Okay, I'm nervous, but we know we have good oil. That is the key. Right there, we know we have good oil. There's like 50 different buttons you have to push. It's really goofy. Something's not right here. I'm having a problem. Something is not firing here for some reason. Did I unplug something by accident? Relay or something. I know there's this test wire right here. Oh, wait a minute. My fuse panel shows a blown fuse. Uh-oh. Uh-huh. Little 20 amp. Let me cut all this stuff back off so that I don't kill it again. Off, 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 off. Why are there so many dang switches in this car? Cover you up. Okay, on, on. Oh! So that triggers the pump, so I'm not going to turn that on. All right, guys, something's going on. Now our ignition isn't wanting to work. That's park. Park, no. Reverse. Neutral. I know that there's a neutral safety switch. What is happening? Why are you not working? Whoa. Okay. I don't know what I did. Let's turn the fan off. Now will it crank? No. 1, 2, 3. Neutral. Oh, there we go. Will it not work at the pump on? Surely not. What's going on here? Let's check for spark. We might be out of gas because after all this thing's dumped out, honestly. Let me check, see if I see any fuel squirting. Oh, yeah, it's just barely dribbling out. Oh, it's got them little shield thingies on it, you know. Maybe we're missing power somewhere. It's cranking, it's got fuel, and it might not have spark. I don't know, guys. We're getting fuel. And the rocker arm's turning. Yeah. We're just not getting spark. Let me just see if I can do a little diagnosing and we'll continue on from there. Well, I wiggled the wire that's going to the distributor from the coil and I heard like a clicking. So now, let me see if it does anything. Because the power's still on. Okay. Oh, that. We're getting oil pressure. My compressor just kicked on. We have oil pressure, about 70 psi. That just sounds like really late timing. Like really late. But it's idling. Shut up, compressor. And it's not smoking anymore. She's knocking. Why won't it die? That sounded like bottom end noise and combined with super late timing. That scares me. We are getting oil up to both sides. I stuck these pieces of cardboard in here to try and keep all the oil to a minimum. Oh, you know what? There was a rocker touching the dipstick tube. That might not be as big of a problem as we thought, but due to the timing, I need to put a light on it and just see. I just don't know. It's got to be something dead simple.
Denial is a river in Egypt.
Let me put the valve covers back on real fast. That way we can actually not make a mess, but I don't know. Sounds like we might have a little bit of a knock-knock, if you will.
No more knock-knock jokes. That's it.
All right, valve covers are on, so no more oil leaks. I'm going to try it one more time tonight. If it doesn't want to run right, we'll reassess. I loosened up the distributor, so maybe I can kind of mess around with the timing a little bit. That just seems so lazy, man. I'm going to advance it just a hair. Sounds like it's running on like 2 cylinders.
It ain't smoking anymore like it was.
Are you sure about that?
It's not like burning oil like it had been, and it's running. I think the timing was way off. We've got 60 pounds of oil pressure. That sounds like rockers. I think I need to go through and adjust them all. Oh, it's snappy now. A little better. A lot of steam coming off the back here. Kind of coming and going, seems like. And the distributor too is obviously not where it needs to be. I might have to move some plug wires around because I think it's trying to go back. Yeah. Them rockers are clattery. We need to go through and adjust them, I know. She's loading up. That's not helping any. The electric pump is off though. Well, I came out the next morning and noticed this. So there's oil on the ground. A little concerned. Don't know why that would be a problem. It wasn't leaking earlier. Now you can see there's quite the puddle up under there. Here's my thinking. On this car, it has a McCool high volume or high pressure oil pump that is bigger than the factory pump. As you can see down there, it's pretty tall. It might be hard to see in the dark, but the filter is very close to the crossmember, so much so that it's actually kind of hard to put on. It was just barely touching the crossmember. So I'm thinking that's probably where the leak is, and that's why the old one was so hard to get out. Well, I wonder if I can find a smaller diameter filter though. This morning what I want to do is pull the valve covers back off, go through and see if I can figure out what kind of lifters we have, whether or not if it's solid or hydraulic, because that's going to determine how we're going to set our rockers, what kind of valve lash we need. I just ran it in with zero preload, so that way it would run like a hydraulic lifter would, but this very well could be a solid lift cam, and somebody might have not put enough lash in it, and that's why it's rattling like crazy. And I'm not even against pulling the intake off, because I would feel so much better knowing what's inside there and seeing what's going on. Well, I stuck my little camera back down inside the distributor hole. I could see the lifter. It has some type of Howard's cam roller lifters, but I can't tell what kind they are. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pull the intake. Didn't want to do this, but I don't want to mess it up. And the thing is too, if the engine's junk, then I guess it really doesn't matter. Take all the bolts off and it just slides right off. Oh, there we go. Easily done. Whew, smells like straight up gas. Can't tell if these heads have been worked on or they've had a little bit of work done, looks like. I see some scratches in here. I don't know, they might have been opened up a little bit. I mean, the valley pan looks good. It looks newer. Usually they rust. Probably been sitting inside for a long time, so that's a good thing. Let's just keep anything out of here that we can. The last thing I need is to drop a bolt right down into an intake port. I mean, they even got these little billet valley pan hold downs. A needless cost, but just pretty wild that they would spend that much money on all of this. I mean, it looks cool. Don't need it, but it's cool. And they didn't even run intake gaskets. They just went straight valley pan, which I know you can. But I like the ones with gaskets in them too. See if I can get you out of here. It's probably glued on too. There we go. If we can preserve this, it should just drop right back into place. Wow. Yep. They're Howard's rollers, all right. What I'm thinking I might be able to do, if I can get these lifters to come out just enough, I can pick them up and just see what kind of lifters they are. I don't know if I'll be able to without having to pull the entire rocker assembly. Let you guys get a better look. Full roller cam, Howard's link bars and lifters. Looks fantastic. I mean, there's no like metal shavings, it seems. The cam has worn nicely. I really wish we could tell what cam it is, but we'd have to pull the whole front cover off, I believe. I did call Howard's and they said there's really no part numbers on the link bar that differs from the hydraulic versus the solid lift. So we're just gonna have to pull it and see. Okay, just loosen these two up. Well, that one's don't want to come out, but I think
think I can still get the whole thing to come out. Please work with me. Okay, there's one. Okay, there we go. Whew. Stressful. All right, now let's get these out. Let's just take a look. Okay, so they are hydraulic. So what we have here is a Howard's roller lifters with a link bar. You see that tiny little hole right there? That tells me it's hydraulic because oil has to go in here, pump these up, and that makes up the difference as far as our lash. These just need to be set at 0 lash, but a couple of them were a little loose. So we'll go through and do that procedure. A little bit of bounce to them, just the tiniest bit. So we will put all this back together. So we're just going to drop those right back in the way they came out. And then we'll put all our push rods in the same location. So I got all the rocker arms adjusted to where I think they are properly set. So I called Howard's and asked them, what am I going to do? How does this work? And based off of these hydraulic roller rockers and roller lifters, they said to run it with 0 lash because it's hydraulic and then run it in another half turn. So that's what I did. And I followed the old Mopar diagram or whatever. I hope it works. So for safety's sake, I guess, and just for the peace of mind, I am actually going to just put a single 4-barrel back on here for right now because there's a lot of possibilities that could come out of using that 6-pack intake. And not to say that I won't put it back on there at some point, just so we can eliminate that possibility. I've got a good 4-barrel carburetor that we will just drop on there and make it super simple. Because a lot of times those 6-packs, if they sit for a while, things can come up and be burdens and problems. And I don't want to have to rebuild all the carburetors only for the engine to not be good.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Let's just try and play it smart there, and it should be bent properly. Also, whenever I actually pull the intake off, I noticed this. There's an open cap, but guess what was on it?
You know, I did see that, but I didn't really think much of it.
I was pulling the spark plugs or something for the valve cover, and I leaned over, and I'm like, what is that? And it was whistling. I pulled it off, the vacuum leak. I could stick my finger on it. So
That's quite the cap they have there.
cool. Man, I don't know. Somebody spent a lot of time, and then somebody did away with all that time. So this is an Edelbrock Performer RPM. It's a dual plane. We have the intake on, carburetor on. Fuel line is very close. You know, if this does work and this carburetor seems to respond well, we'll redo something here. But I really wanted to see what kind of fuel pressure that electric pump is putting out. Watch that gauge and tell me, what do you see?
I can hear it coming to the bowls. 1 pound, 2 pound, 2.5.
Huh.
It's going slow.
Has it filled up the bowls though?
Yes.
So they're both full?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it barely got above 2.5 pounds.
Interesting. Last vacuum leak.
Vacuum leakless.
No more vacuum leaks. Do we have anything? It just dribbles out.
Both bowls are full.
It must not have filled it up too much.
I'm ready.
All right, I'm scared. I hope it cranks. Oh, I don't have any throttle cable either.
That, we might want to hook that up.
Might not be a bad idea. We don't have a throttle cable, so I'm going to sit under the hood and do it. Briar's going to work the key. So to shut it off, you're going to push that button back in. That
Okay.
kills power to everything. Might not be getting spark. This happened last night. That timing is right where it was before. Let me just see if we have spark real fast before we get too crazy. Yeah, we're getting spark. Here's what my guess is. They had so little timing that they cranked the throttle blades wide open. So
That's
I'll
why.
give it a little throttle.
It sounded different.
It's just dribbling fuel out. That's weird. That was something.
Yeah.
Where's my fuel? Here, I got some brake cleaner. We'll just give it a little persuasion. Just a hair. Okay, try that. It's trying. Okay, try it now. It can't run for nothing. Hang on. Too much timing. Now try it. I don't know, man. That sounded a little knockish, didn't it?
A little bit.
I think it's got a knock. Unless there's a windage tray and the crank's hitting it.
You always believe that everything is going to work out. How do you do it? I'll tell you my secret, sir. I lie to myself.
Because that kind of sounds
It's
hollow.
not. It's a hollow. Yes.
Yeah. All right, now hit the electric pump. Let's just get a little fuel pressure. Let me try. I'll keep it running this time. You know things are getting serious whenever you have to pull the Edelbrock out. This one I know for a fact was running. That other carburetor I forgot was not good. It was good at one point, but I think it got some bad gas in it. So we're going to try this Edelbrock. If it doesn't work on this one, I don't know what else to do because I know that carburetor's good there. It was just running, what, a week ago?
A week ago.
At least a week ago.
Is it in gear?
Why is this thing trying to roll in neutral?
I don't know.
I mean, I know that they'll do that sometime. Like, I've had that happen, but like, dang, this thing tries to take off every time you crank it. So I guess make sure you got your foot really good on the pedal.
Yeah, I'm on it now.
Let me check the oil again. I know it leaked some, but it didn't leak a lot. I mean, it's showing about a quart low, so it shouldn't be that bad. I mean, it's kind of gassy.
Well, at least it's not all the way gassy.
No, it's not all the way. Let me try and keep it running this time. Try again. I don't know, man. We're adding an extra quart of oil. We might have melted the coil because apparently even with the ignition switch off, the coil's still hot. While Briar was filling it up, we could hear the oil inside bubbling. Hopefully it didn't hurt it, but probably a good chance that it cooked it. So great, great, great. Yeah, that might be rod knock.
$70 pounds of oil.
That's just oil burning off of the manifold where it was leaking. Yeah, it's burning oil back here. Woo.
Am I driving okay?
I think we're parked, man.
That's a lot of oil. I don't remember it leaking that much. Yeah, we're only blowing smoke out of this right side. Kill it, yeah, all of it. This thing is burning oil like crazy on this passenger side, and it's blowing smoke out of the passenger exhaust. But, I mean, it was leaking a little oil, but not nearly that much. You don't think there's like a hole in the block or a crack, do you?
We'd have to roll it back out of this oil spot and see.
Yeah.
It was holding pressure.
Yeah, there's oil everywhere on the side of the block. I guess it leaked more than I realized. We have a problem. I might start pulling spark plugs and see if there's one of them that's not running properly. We have a fan going now.
I'm gonna try and get some of this smoke out of here while it's running, because that's about as good as it's gonna get. Seems pretty prevalent up top side. Huh. Definitely on the other side. It's not nearly as loud on the bottom as it is up top. Let me try and check the oil pan. I'm afraid it is on the bottom. That's the best it's been able to run since we started. But it runs awful back here. What's the temperature say?
Temperature?
Turn the fan on.
Just under 200.
See how smoky it is out of that side?
That's odd.
That side's good, but that side's really smoky.
That's not good.
Not good at all. It's got good oil pressure. What's the oil pressure at? I can't see it.
It's hovering at 40.
It's idling smooth, smoother than it was, but I think it's. Tell me which side you think it's on.
Oh, absolutely this side.
Yeah.
We might have a ring shot.
Might be. 1-8. So 8 changes the idle. Oh! Woo! Got me.
You want a glove?
Might need it. I felt that all the way to my fingertips on both sides. Number 4. Golly! Okay, never mind. I'm done. No. Ow!
Dang.
I want to come out my shoulder. Woo! Ow! Golly, I felt like my shoulder was on fire.
Don't look like it's smoking as bad anymore, but
Yeah, it's burned all that oil off we were leaking. But look, there's some blow-by coming out of the valve covers.
yeah.
Just let me do a little rev. Barely. Yeah, there's a cylinder that's not firing.
Yeah.
Cut it off.
When I turned it off, it was just above 20 pounds.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So that we tried 1-8. Let me pull off 4 and see if that changes the idle. I'm not touching it anymore.
Yeah, I heard you pop.
Yeah, that second time it went from my right hand all the way out my shoulder. I don't hear anything different, do you? It seems like it's the same. All right, cut it off. Put this back on. 1, 8, 4, 3, 6. Okay, crank it back on. It don't sound any different though, does it? It's not smoking out the back anymore though.
No?
All right, cut it off. 1, 8, 4, 3. That was number 6. So 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7. Let me pull number 2. So number 2's trying to, yeah. Is it running okay? Cool temperature?
Just under 200.
Well, how much oil pressure?
Between 20 and 30. Well, 20, 25.
Which, I mean, a little thicker oil would help that, but I put 1030 in it. I mean, it's cleared out back here.
Really?
But you can't rev it, and it's still knocking.
It's shaking a lot. We got something dead.
It's definitely hurt. Like it's idling, it's not rocking around crazy, but it is kind of chattery. But you can really hear that noise. And it doesn't want to rev. It's got a dead cylinder or something somewhere. So we'll just have to check and do a compression test, see which one the problem is. But if you look back here, it's not smoking as bad as it was. That right side was really chooching it out. Now the left side's smoking a little bit. Which it smells a little rich. I don't know, guys. What do you think?
Something's not hardly right.
No.
But it's doing decent idling.
It does all right, but it's still really choppy. Woo! Yeah, we got a dead cylinder. I wonder if a valve and a piston might have touched or something too.
It could have been.
All right, well, I guess cut it off. Just cut it all, everything.
Now let me just go ahead and make a note that yes, hindsight is always 20/20. It's very easy to see, hey, all the mistakes that you made back here should have been taken care of in such a way that could have prevented all these things. But now I understand why I only had to bid one time, because there was probably somebody who paid a little bit more attention, heard it knocking and said, you know what, never mind. But the odd thing is about that is that the guy who runs the auction told me that he only cranked it twice. The guy drove it about 15 to 20 minutes to get to where the auction was being held. He cranked it to move it to where it was sitting, and then he cranked it for me, and that's it. So how could anybody else know? I don't know, but I did notice in the auction video that the car is smoking out of the back, and nobody thought to say, hey, maybe there's something wrong, and maybe we need to advertise this as such. But they don't really have to, because it's sold as is, and it's really up to the buyer to determine that, and I didn't do that. So it's really on me. I get that, but you would really love some honesty, maybe some upfront notes like, hey, this thing's not running that great. But at the end of the day, yes, I have to take on that risk. I've done a lot of bidding. I've done a lot of auction cars. I've bought plenty at auction, and I've had the majority of good fortune with it. I've not had a whole lot of issues with these things. When you can hear a car crank and drive around, it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. So like I said, I have been well versed in the auction world, but again, sometimes you get a little too excited. And you bid one time and you think, well, somebody's gonna bid against me, and then they don't. Uh-oh, well, now I'm stuck with it. Let this be a lesson to you. Make sure you bid on something that you know for a fact is, hey, this is going to be something I can fix or I don't get upside down in. It came from California. We figured this out, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, and the car ended up here locally to me over in Tennessee. I bet this guy purchased this car from California. He either tried to sell it and then had some issues with it and sent it to auction, or because the guy who was running the auction said he lost a lot of money on this situation. He either had the issue come up while he owned it, or it happened at the auction lot. Well, I see nothing else left to do but to tear it down, so that's exactly what we plan to do in the next video. So make sure you turn on the notifications and leave a like so you don't miss out on anything else in the future for this Baja Duster. And on top of that, we got in touch with the owner who built the car, the one who knows all the history on this thing. We had an in-depth conversation about this thing, and he answered a lot of my questions. So make sure you do not miss out on part 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Order your t-shirts and your stickers. It's down in the link in the description below, because all that money is gonna help get this Duster back on the road and fix it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.